Hey boys and girls, this is your one lesson that we're going to do today on comparing fractions. There are many ways that your teacher will teach you how to compare fractions, and today I'm going to teach you one way. Our SC is to compare two fractions with different numerators and different denominators, and to represent the comparisons using our symbols greater than, equal to, or less than. Let's think about these questions as we learn this process. How can you compare fractions using a number line? And how can you use benchmark fractions to help us? A benchmark is something that you're very familiar with, and you're going to see what I'm talking about in just a minute. All right, let's say this together, boys and girls. I wonder how a number line can help me compare two fractions. Think. Some vocabulary that we're going to review. The numerator. The numerator is the number above the bar, and it is the number that we are considering. Your denominator is the number below the bar, and it's the number that tells us how many make a whole, or what the size is of each fraction or each piece. This symbol here, boys and girls, is less than. Less than. And you can see that this part of the symbol points to the number that is less, and this symbol here is smaller here, but this side of the symbol is greater, so it will be facing the number that's greater. So this is your less than symbol, and this symbol that is opposite, where the opening is greater, will be facing the number that is greater, and the smaller point will be facing the number that is less than, and we read this symbol as greater than. And this symbol here, we have two little lines that are the same, they're equal. This is your equal signs. We're going to use those symbols and words. So let's practice. Let's compare these two fractions using a number line. So we're going to go to this little ladybug here, and I'm going to write, just a second. All right, so I've copied the numbers onto my working board, 4/6, and there's my little circle. I'll put my symbol in. We're going to compare 4/6 to 3/8. All right, so starting with the number line, the first thing we want to do is, when we're talking about fractions, we're talking about something that's divided into equal parts. So when we do our number lines, we also need to make sure that we create two number lines that are the exact same length. So my first number line, I will put here. And the next one, I'm going to try to draw it as close to same length. They're both parallel. And we're going to start with 4/6. I'm going to label this number line 4/6 and label this number line 3/8. Okay, so that's the first step, to draw two equivalent equal lines. Next step is I'm going to find my benchmarks, those numbers that we're all familiar with. So if I mark this spot here and this spot, we all know that a fraction is something that's less than a whole. So I'm going to start labeling this tick mark with 0, and this point on my number line will be 1 whole. And again, I'm going to do the same thing down here for 3/8, 0 and 1. So if I were to ask you, what would be your midpoint? What is less than 1 whole but greater than 0? That's the midpoint on your number line. And you would tell me, hopefully, 1/2. So we're going to label this as a benchmark fraction 1/2. 1/2. Now, the next thing we're going to do is, I'm going to ask you, if we look at our denominator, that tells us how many make the whole, what fraction that has a denominator of 6 is equivalent to 0? Well, that would be 0/6. Yeah. What fraction with the numerator, or I'm sorry, denominator of 6 is equivalent to a whole? Well, you have to have 6 out of 6 to make the whole thing. So our fraction is 6/6. We're going to repeat that down here using the denominator of 8. So 0/8 is equivalent to 0. And we know that 8/8 is equivalent to 1 whole. Now let's find that benchmark fraction 1/2. Let's look at 6/6. Can you tell me what is half of 6? Half of 6 is 3. So half of 6/6 would be 3/6. Remember, we're not changing the size or how many are in the whole. We're only changing the numerator. So we're looking for what's half of the numerator. So that would be 3/6. Okay? And again, let's do the same thing for 8/8. What is half of 8? If you had 8 to make a whole and you ate half of it, you would have how many left? 4. So you have 4/8. Now that we have those benchmark fractions on our number line, we can plot 4/6 and 3/8 on those number lines and compare them. So let's look at 4/6. Do you think that 4/6 is between 0/6 and 3/6? Well, let's see. 0/6, 1/6, 2/6, 3/6. 1/6, 2/6, 3/6. No, it's not. So what comes after 3/6? 4/6, and then 5/6, and 6/6. So we are going to plot 4/6 right here on our number line, right here. And let's do the same for 3/8. If we have 0/8, we would have 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, etc. Since we already know where 3/8 is, I'm going to go ahead and stop. And we have plotted 3/8 right here on our number line. Now let's compare each of these fractions to a half. We see that 4/6 is greater than 1/2. And we can say that 3/8 is less than 1/2. So let me ask you this question. Which one's greater, 4/6 or 3/8? Okay, you're right. If you said 4/6 is greater than 3/8. Now what's another way that we can write this comparison? I want you to be able to write it 2 ways. Sometimes it may be written this way, but when you look at your answer choices, they're going to flip it on you. So we've got to get in the habit of writing it 2 ways. So if 4/6 is greater than 3/8, we can also say that 3/8 is less than 4/6. Yay! Good job. All right, let's move on to our next question. And that would be, let's put it in presentation mode right here. Okay, so we are going to take some cards. I got some playing cards. I took out the face cards. I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to flip over and create some fractions with my playing cards. And we're going to create 2 fractions using these cards. And I'm going to make 2 8s over here, and we'll make this one as 3/4. All right, so the first thing I want you to do is get your working paper, and I want you to write these 2 fractions on your working paper, pause the video, and I want you to create your 2 number lines. I want you to create 2 equal number lines, and then I want you to label your number lines with your benchmark fractions, 0, 1/2, 1 whole, and then label what fraction equals a 0 and what equals 1/2 and what equals 1 whole. Okay, and then join me when you finish that. All right, now, does your number line look like my number line? If not, go ahead and fix it, all right? And once you've done that and you've checked it out, I want you to plot where does 3/4 go on the top number line and where does 2/8 go on this number line. Go ahead and plot that, please. All right, I have mine plotted. Check yours out. Did you plot that 3/4 was between 2/4 and 4/4? Good. And did you plot that 2/8 was between 0/8 and 4/8, right in the middle? Good job. Now, I want you to write your two comparison statements comparing 3/4 and 2/8. Write it two ways, please. Okay, now that you've written your two statements, let's read them together. We know that 3/4 is greater than 1/2, and we know that 2/8 was less than 1/2. Therefore, we can say that 3/4 is greater than 2/8, or we can say that 2/8 is less than 3/4. Great job. Activity. All right, I want to challenge you after you've had some practice. This is an actual question that we've had in the past, showing two fraction models. We're going to label those fraction models first before you do anything. And then I want you to write a comparison statement again using your number line to compare fractions on that correctly compare the model two different ways. Go ahead and pause the video and label your fractions and then create your number lines. And label those benchmark fractions and then plot your two fractions, okay? And then come back and let's check your work. You can do it. All right, let's see how well you did, guys. Hold on just 1 second. Let me pull up something for us. All right, your final challenge, 5/6 compared to 6/12. Did you create your two number lines? Good. And let's plot 5/6 is between 3/6 and 6/6 somewhere. So we know it's greater than 1/2. And we know that, what about 6/12? It's equal to 1/2. Therefore, we know that 5/6 is going to be greater than 6/12. And did you write it a different way? We can also say that 6/12 is less than 5/6. Awesome! Now, boys and girls, with some more practice, let me close this down, please. With some more practice, you are going to become perfect. Well, you know, perfect practice makes perfect. That's what I was always taught. So practice perfectly so that you can work perfectly, okay, guys? And you did a Gatorific job. Thanks for being such awesome Gator mathematicians. And if you have any questions, ask your teacher. And remember, there's lots of ways to compare fractions, and this is just one way. Your teacher will teach you several, and then you choose the one that makes sense to you. That's the most efficient way, okay? All right. Bye, guys. Take care.